Job was able to look back over his life and see the history he had with God. And a real man, that when he goes through trials and tribulations, what he's able to do is hold on to that which God has brought him to. It's simply what it says. When I look back over my life and I see all that God brought me through, my soul cries out and says, hallelujah. There's going to be some dark days ahead. There's going to be some rough days ahead. But a real man holds on to that which God has had. He leaves something behind. He leaves enough behind that those who will come after him will be able to find their way. That's the reason why this generation has no direction, because we've had men who have lived and died and done nothing. Left no legacy. Fathers have left no legacy and don't have no history. Literally, how do you do that? You do that the same way Job began to testify of what God had done in his life. That's the footprints you leave. The footprints you leave is a testimony of what God had done in his life. That's what Joshua 4 and 6 said. He said, God commanded the Israelites to take 12 stones and to build a memorial of stones to mark the place where God had done something great. Somebody ought to help me here. That when your sons, as they grow old, look at those stones and ask what they mean, you can tell them, Daddy can tell Junior that God delivered us, that God made a way out of no way, that God picked me up and turned me around and placed my feet on solid ground. I have a testimony. When the grandparents and great-grandparents and great-grandfather, they were able to talk about and testify of what God had done. To say, yes, he's a doctor that never lost a patient. Yes, he's a lawyer that never lost a case. Yes, he's a friend that sticks closer than every brother. That a real man leaves a legacy, a spiritual legacy, so that those who will come after him would not have to suffer. We ought to desire to make the next generation better.
Amen. Amen.
Can I just stop y'all here long enough, brothers? To say that if you have children, whether you're married or not, if they're your children, spend time with them more than shooting hoops, take them to the ball game. You got to sit down and talk to them about your relationship with God. Listen. Well, I ain't had nobody, I don't know, I ain't had nobody. Listen, you got to start somewhere. We can make all the excuses we want to make. But it ain't going to make the next generation no better unless somebody said it stops with me. And my daddy never hugged me. Away with that. Let it stop with you. He never told me how he loved me. Away with that. Let it start with you. He never spent no time with me. Away with that. Let it start with you. He never was there for me. Away with that. And start with you. A real man leaves a legacy. Not only that, not only does a real man leave a legacy, but number two, the text says a real man and a mighty good man receives respect. He leaves a legacy. Secondly, he receives respect. Look at what verse 7 says. And when I went to the gate of the city, look at it, and took my seat in the public square, the young men saw me and stepped aside. The old men, watch this, rose to their feet. The chief men refrained from speaking and covered their mouths. The voices of the nobles were hushed and their tongues stuck to the roof of their mouth. Wow. Now I know you're struggling with that, but let me help you. The Bible said, Job said that when I would go to the city gates, that's where all the decisions were made. It was like the state capitol. It was the city gates were in the public square, and there the men gathered. And as the men gathered, the Bible, Job said that when I got there, he said the young men, when they saw me, they stepped aside. It was literally, they parted the sea when Job started walking. He said, and the old men, they stood at their feet. When they walked in, they had enough respect and reverence for Job that when Job came, they stood at their feet. And the chief men the chief men refrained from speaking and literally covered their mouths. He said, the voices of the noblemen, watch this, they hushed, and their tongues stuck to the roof of their mouth. A mighty good man received respect. Look at the respect Job received from the young men. They stepped aside. The old men stood up in respect to Job. Now let me say to you that this respect was not demanded. This respect was given. Come on, let me help you. The disrespect was not demanded. You know, we got this macho thing that we ought to just get it because we the man. Because we stand up and when we go to the bathroom rather than sitting down, we ought to just get certain things. But listen, let me tell you something. Respect is earned, not demanded. A real man, he earns his respect of the young men, and the way you get the respect of the young men is just simply being honest. It's amazing to me how we always try to act like we always been what we are. That we ain't never done nothing wrong. We ain't never had no bad thoughts. We ain't never went no place and we ain't got no business. It's amazing to me that all of a sudden when we get saved, all of a sudden we get spiritual amnesia. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing yet. We act like we always made right decisions, that we always been walking with God, that we always been in close. But let me tell you something that you won't tell me. There was a day in your life where you said some things you ain't had no business saying. You gone some places you ain't had no business going. You thought some things that you ain't had no business. You got some stuff. But not only did the young men step aside, but the Bible said the old men stood up in respect. Text says that the chief men and the princes, they paid respect. They stopped talking when Job sat down at the city gates. You know why? Because Job had respect that had influence tied to it. See, influence and respect goes hand in hand. That the old men stood up and respected him. Now, don't miss this. This kind of respect don't just come by chance or accident. Job lived, watch this, Job lived in a pagan society, but he did not allow the environment to influence him, but he allowed his character to influence the environment. They don't play a word, I said something. What Job didn't do, Job did not allow the outside influence and environment to influence him, but Job allowed his character to influence the environment that's around. That when Job walked in the room, they understood that a spokesman for God showed up in the room. Listen, influence and respect that have nothing to do with being perfect. We think that the only way I'm able to respect somebody is for them to be perfect. Guess what? Ain't none of us perfect. And guess what? As long as we here on this side, none of us are going to be perfect. But to have influence and respect, what you have to do is have a desire to do what is right. You may not always do right, but if you have a desire to do right, when you mess up, you know how to go back to God. That's why he called David a man after God's own heart. We all know David's resume. We all know the sin that David committed. We